A while back, I read something as a questionnaire, quiz, what have you, where they asked, athletes, what's the number one thing that you believe you need more help with in order to become a better athlete? And they asked coaches the same question, what's the number one thing that your athletes could do to be, well, better athletes? And interestingly, they both had the same answer, and they both said, I need more help, or they need more help with the mental part of things. It wasn't about doing better training, getting better sleep or nutrition. It was all about the mental part, because if you heard me say before, running is 80% mental and the other 20% is in your head. So right now I'm reading a book called Endure by Alex Hutchinson. It's a little bit like Matt Fitzgerald's How Bad Do You Want It? It's about the mind part of things. And both of them, I'm only part way into this book, but both really talk a lot about, so fatigue. Is fatigue real, or is it your brain that's causing you to fatigue? And there's a lot of controversy about this in the running world, the athletic world in general. Certainly there's some fatigue that's very real. I mean, you can't just go out and run 100 miles if you've never done that before. But there's a lot out there that says, you know what, your brain is going to cause you to feel fatigue long before you're actually out of fuel, long before your muscles are really going to collapse. It's your brain at work, and learning how to manage through that is going to help make you a better athlete. So here's just a few examples that really support that this is the case. So 65 of 66 world records in the 5 or the 10K, 65 of 66, the last kilometer they ran was either the fastest or the second fastest kilometer they ran of the entire race. I think, well, of course, they're trained athletes. They're running negative splits. These are world records. They are running not only faster than that individual has ever run in their entire lives. At the moment they're setting the record, it's faster than any human being has ever run. You got to believe that at some point in time they're feeling fatigue, but somehow in that last kilometer, they're able to go faster than they were in the entire rest of the race. I thought this was an interesting study with wall sits. If you don't know wall sits, it's where you put your back against the wall and you sit so that your legs are kind of bent like this, like you're sitting in a chair, and you try and hold that position. This was done in France. They offered them 0.2 francs, no idea how much money that is, but 0.2 francs for every 20 seconds they could hold that. They also offered them 7.8 francs for every 20 seconds they could hold that. So guess what happened? When they were offered the 7.8 francs, on average, they could hold that wall sit twice as long as they could for the 0.2 francs. Now, all of a sudden, those francs caused them to have more muscular endurance than they had before? Of course not, but for whatever reason, it became more important. They were able to overcome that fatigue and do something a little bit different. And then finally, I'll kind of give you an example from myself. And that is my 5K. So my 5K PR, this was several years ago, was 20:04. I really should look to see what it was before that. I don't know, but I was very pleased with 20:04. But of course, like anybody else, what do I want to do? Well, I want to break 20. That's so darn close. Can I get underneath 20? So for about 2 years, I tried. I had a lot of 5Ks that were, way away from 20:04. But I also had one that was 2010, a 20:09. I hit 20:08 twice. I hit 20:05 twice. But heaven forbid that I could even hit 20:04 again. Even with the 20:05 twice close, I just couldn't get there. I finally really got to the point where I said, you know what? Maybe I'm just not going to get there anymore. I'm getting older. It's harder to run faster as you get older. And maybe 20 is just something that's not going to happen for me. And then one day I ran a 5K and I ran 19:43. So after all those times of being very close but just short, I didn't run 20:03 or 19:99. 19:43 blew way past that, and I couldn't hit that before. Now, there must be an answer for why that was. Well, certainly, I must have been better trained. Actually, I didn't train specifically for that 5K at all. I think I had a half marathon about 2 weeks before then, and I was recovering from the half marathon, but I did not train for the 5K at all. But it must have been better conditions. Well, actually, no. The temperature was really good. It was about 40, 42 degrees, which is a good temperature for me, but very, very windy. We had a very severe headwind going out that you ran out for about 3/4 of the first mile, was right into the wind. You did get a little bit of a kiss then with the wind at your back for a while, but you had to fight that wind on the way back in. So I would not say it was better conditions. It must have been a better course. No, actually, it was a relatively hilly course. In fact, the beginning of the third mile was uphill again. You did have a downhill to the finish, but it was a hilly course. So I wasn't better trained. There weren't better conditions. It wasn't a better course. So what in the heck happened? Well, in this particular case, I just said no. And I wish it was always that easy. What do I mean by I just said no? I wasn't going after a PR. I didn't feel like it was a PR day. I didn't feel like I was in PR shape. I was just running, and it was really when I hit the 2 mile mark and I glanced at my watch and I started doing some math and I realized that I was going to be fairly close to 20 if I could have a good third mile. And all I remember from that third mile the entire time was thinking, I am not going to run 20:05 again. And I'll be damned if I'm going to run 20:01 or 20 even. I've got to get at least 19:59. It's there. And it pushed the thoughts of pain that you get in the 5K aside, and everything was on, this just isn't going to happen. I just said no. And as I said, I wish I could do that all the time, but I can't. But that particular mile, I ran in 6:09. If you know anything about my 5K times, that's like blazing fast, because for that 6 minutes and 9 seconds, I was able to shut the brain down and say, you've got this, go and get it. I still struggle to figure out how do I do that all the time. I think that you probably have some struggles to figure out how to do that all the time, and that's maybe the purpose of another video. But I think the thing you need to remember is that running is 80% mental. The other 20% is in your head, and I will guarantee that you are stronger than you know. And when you can find that way that works for you, to shut the brain down for that little bit and say, no, let me go, you won't believe how fast you can run.